Thanks for joining me for a Stitch With Me video today. It's been a long time since I've done one of these and I had a request, so I thought, yeah, I've been wanting to do one for a while, so let's stitch. I'm going to be stitching today on my design for the Mystery Stitch Along. It's called the It's Halloween Mystery Stitch Along. The design is called It's Halloween. Clue 2 has been released, so I'm safe in showing you my progress on Clue 1. I'm only planning to stitch the first clue. I don't have time to stitch all of them. I need to get some other model stitching done. But here's my progress so far. You can see I've done a lot of outlining so that I can just stitch and talk with you without having to really pay attention to what I'm doing, which is good because talking and stitching is hard. So just like counting. Stitching this on 32 count Affogato by Fiber on a Whim. And I'm using my own called for colors. And I sometimes get questions about the frames that I use, so you can see that I've got a stretcher's bars here. So you can see the tacks on the back, and then there are bars these are attached to. These are mini stretcher bars, and you buy them in sets of 2, so they come in a pair, and then you need to buy 2 sets so that you have 4 total. These are Edmunds brand, and I tend to use the 6-inch mini stretcher bars the most for like ornaments, and then sometimes I use 7-inch or 8-inch, which I'm doing 6 and I think 8 for this one. So I like these for smaller things that don't fit in my hoop. Saved on fabric and just kind of easy and convenient to do. Sometimes I don't stretch them very well and have to re-stretch them, so that's the only part that's a little bit of a pain. But you get some tacks, and then I like these tools. They came in a set. This is to pull the tacks up when you're done or when you've not placed your fabric correctly and you need to adjust, and then this is the thing I use to push them in. So these are really handy tools that come with the set. I don't remember exactly who makes these, but you can look for them probably online and find what you're looking for if this is of interest to you. So for anything like larger, like 9 inches or more, I tend to go for a hoop, but for smaller things like small pillows or ornaments, I will use often stretcher bars in a lap stand. So this is my Kay's Creations lap stand. It has several adjustments. It has an adjustment here to change the angle of the stitching, and then there are 2 other adjustment knobs that can adjust the height. So for stitching with stretcher bars, I use this stand, and then for my hoop, I use a floor stand that's also from Kay's Creations. So I'm going to be stitching this cute black cat, and I need to put on some readers because my eyesight has gotten a bit worse since the last time I did a Stitch With Me video, sadly. But I like to be able to actually see what I'm doing. I'll zoom this in so that you can see a little bit better if you're watching, but I'm sure you're stitching. So I hope that you've been well, and if you are currently in summer, I hope you've been having a good summer. It has been a very hot, mostly dry summer here where I live, and we just finally got some rain. Too many days in the 90s for me, but we just finally got some rain. It's cooled down a bit, and I'm grateful for that. So I have been enjoying summer. If you're new here, in addition to being a cross-stitch designer, I'm also a teacher. I teach Spanish, but I'm off for the summer. I teach at the university here. So this summer, I have been taking it easier than I have taken any summer in probably about a decade. I've just really worked myself a little too hard over the past year, and I needed to give myself a break. So I've been working a little bit on things for Luminous Fiber Arts, and I've been spending a lot of time learning about watercolor painting, and I decided to set myself a challenge to go outside and paint trees every day for a month in direct watercolor, which means that basically you would have little or no underdrawing and you would just paint with your paintbrush. And so I decided to do that because there's a challenge to to do direct watercolor for 30 days, and I wanted to get better at painting trees because I don't feel like I'm good at drawing or painting them. And I also wanted to get better at just painting without having to draw first. So for 30 days, every day in June, I went outside and painted a tree. And I have to say that I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And got so into it, I bought a bunch of like gear, and I've pretty much painted outside every day since then, unless I have something else going. So it's been like a couple days I haven't gone outside to paint in July, like 2 days out of whatever date this is, 3 weeks. So that's been really, really fun, and I've just really enjoyed being outside and found it very peaceful and relaxing, even when the paintings aren't going well or they don't end well. And I've enjoyed spending time around the animals and talking to people that come up to me to see what I'm doing or to offer encouragement, which is really sweet. So it's just been really great. And so I've been really having a wonderful, much needed break and having a lot of fun with painting and learning a lot. And I think one big takeaway from painting outside, and I mean this would be true of just painting in general, but since I've been consistently painting outside, my takeaways from the tree project were that like learning isn't linear. It's not like every painting is better than the last one. Some of them are actually worse than the one before. But that's just kind of the process. So I just have to accept it and keep going. And so I really learned to enjoy the process. You know, I want a good result, and I'm always trying to improve, but I wanted to appreciate the experience and the process more and worry a little less about how perfect, you know, in my case, not perfect, my tree was. So that was really, really a good, I think, reminder about how learning is, that it's not, there's always progress, but it's not like you're going to see the progress like every single day. There are going to be days where you actually don't do as good a job as you had on a different day. So that's been really fun. I have been able to so I started learning to paint watercolor last year around May or so, and I've been taking online classes ever since, and they've been wonderful. And then this summer I was finally able to take some in-person classes, which has been really exciting for me. So I just started a watercolor class from the Art Alliance, and I've had like 3 classes there, and that's been really fun just to be around other people again. I actually haven't taken an in-person class in probably about a decade too. It feels like I used to take a lot of like quilting and knitting and sewing classes, and I kind of got where I wanted to be with a lot of that. And so it's been nice to be back in a classroom, not teaching, but, you know, learning with other people in person. And so that's been really fun. I just painted a landscape yesterday in that class, and the landscape was a gazebo with some hydrangeas and other blooming flowers around it. Really a pretty area on campus. It's like there's an alumni center, and there's a garden out there that's just so beautiful, and so that's where the gazebo is. I also am participating in a nature sketching event at the Arboretum that happens every week, and that's like a free event, and so that's been really fun. I've been doing that all month. And then I'm now also taking a class through the University Extension office on painting outdoors. It's called plein air painting. And so I've already been doing that all summer, but I really want some other people to paint outside with. So I was like, well, I'm sure I can learn something, and I would like to paint outside with people. So like the art class is inside, the sketchbook class is outside, but no one's painting but me. So I'm excited for this plein air class. We've had like 1 session so far, but we haven't really painted yet. I painted anyway just because I can't seem to help myself. I have to add color. but that wasn't part of the class yet. She's waiting until I think the 3rd class to start teaching people how to paint. She doesn't want to overwhelm them. So anyway, that's been really a fun part of my summer. And then I also just took an online class, almost done with it. I'm painting with gouache. So they're very similar, watercolor and gouache, but with watercolor, you add more water. Gouache has a little bit more pigment, and you add very little water, and you add white, whereas with watercolor, you generally don't use white. And so I made a still life, and it was really fun. And I'm excited to learn gouache too. They're definitely different styles of painting, but I'd like to do both. The only thing I worry about is that the gouache will make me lazy with my watercolor, because with gouache you can cover up mistakes a lot more easily, and with watercolor it's a lot harder. But so yeah, I've been having a great summer, and I've been enjoying doing a little bit more personal stitching of late, which has been great. What else have I been doing? I went to visit my mom in Michigan for about a week, and we had fun. We went antique shopping and got to visit with lots of family, saw my sister and my niece and her kids, my grandmother. My grandmother is 99, which is amazing. And then I went on a trip to Cape May, my first time in Cape May, which was really fun. I even did a little bit of sketching on the beach. I tried to sketch the ocean, but I didn't really know how, so the picture turned out okay. I sketched the seagull that was hanging around hoping I would feed him, but we did not feed him. And I really, really loved Cape May. I would definitely go back. And in May it was not too busy and the weather was really nice, so it was just a great trip. Also went to Wilmington, Delaware for a day on that trip and rode a historic railroad there. I think it's called the Wilmington and Delaware. That was really fun. I, for some reason, really like riding on old trains, so whenever I find one, I like to go on a train ride. So on the way to the train ride, I discovered another historic train ride out in Lancaster, because we were driving through Lancaster on the way to Wilmington. So that's also now on my list of trains I need to ride on. And then, so it was like maybe a 5-day vacation. On the way back, we stopped in Lancaster for a day, because I always love antique shopping in Lancaster. And then there's a fun art store in downtown Lancaster called Curio Gallery. And so that was great to visit. And then I begged that we go to Dick Blick. So we did. I think it was in Allentown. I can't remember for sure now exactly where we were. I think it was Allentown. That was fun. It's not as amazing as the Columbus Dick Blick, but it was still pretty darn good. I love supplies, quilting supplies, cross-stitch supplies, art supplies. I love it all. So any opportunity to go to, a store and look at supplies is really fun. What else have I been up to? I guess I haven't been doing anything. I've just been painting all summer. Painting and getting my mysteries ready. So as I said, this is my Halloween mystery, which the sign-up window for this was just a week, so the pattern's not going to be available until next year at the earliest. So it was exclusive to the Stitch Along for at least a year. But I also have been getting ready for my Bird Lovers mystery boxes to ship. So supplies are coming in, supplies are getting packaged up and counted, and my mom is coming in about a week and a half to help me put the boxes together, and we'll get them out. And I'm so excited for people to start getting their boxes. I hope they will love them. It was super fun putting them together and designing all the parts of it. I really love doing that. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for people to see the boxes and what's in them. I like doing the artwork for the boxes. So when I do a mystery box, I create artwork for the outside of the box as well as things for inside the box. And it's fun. So I've been doing that, and because I've had a lot of interest from people in a Christmas mystery stitch along, I'm looking into that for later this year. I think it should work out, but I'm just kind of finalizing the details. It pretty much means that I will not have a fall release because I won't have time to release a fall design and do pre-orders for the Christmas mystery. So the Christmas mystery pre-orders will happen in September for the stitch along to start in November, and that's just to give our fabric dyer enough time to dye the fabric, me enough time to get the fabric and floss and count it all and package it up, and then get it shipped out to you with enough time for it to get to you before the stitch along starts. So there is some waiting time with these kinds of things, but it's just to make sure everything gets where it's supposed to correctly and on time. So I'm really excited about that. I've got the design all ready, and I've talked to my fabric dyer, and I've talked to my floss dyers, and everybody's on board, and I've talked to my model stitcher, and she's on board. And so I'm just waiting for some floss to get here so that I can ship the model out to the model stitcher. And then once it comes back, I will fully finish it and, you know, get things ready to go. So I'm excited. When I do model stitching, depending on the model, sometimes I need to pre-stitch part of it to make sure that the colors are working. And sometimes I don't. If it's a one color design, I usually don't need to. But if it's a multicolor design, sometimes I have to check the colors. Other times I feel pretty confident and I can just send it off. So for this particular model, I do feel perhaps overly confident, but I feel confident that the colors I chose are going to work. So I didn't do any test stitching in advance. I just got it ready to go. So when I ship a model out to be stitched, I have a little box, and I roll my fabric. I iron it, you know, I cut it out, I iron it, and I roll it on a used paper towel roll. I know it's not acid free, but you know what? It's not going to be on there that long. And that's just so that it doesn't wrinkle. And then I ask them when they send it back to do the same. You know, it can have like little wrinkles in it, but my worry is just that if it's really deeply creased, then I'm going to have to really get the fabric wet to get that out. And when you're working with over-dyed flosses that aren't all necessarily guaranteed to be color fast, that's risky. So that's why I roll it around a paper towel roll. And I ship the chart along with the flosses and the fabric, and any like instructions about, you know, like please use, you know, one strand of floss in this color to do the back stitches or whatever. And then they stitch it. I let them know like the deadline and what the fee is and everything in advance. And then I send prepaid postage in the package, and then they can just reuse the box when they send it back to me. And that works really well. And I work with some amazing model stitchers, and I'm so thankful because I could not stitch all the designs that I do at this point, and also do all the other parts of the business that I need to do. So it's really a huge help to be able to work with model stitchers. So I'm super thankful for them. So you can leave me a comment and let me know what you're working on while you're watching this. I don't want to make you stop what you're doing, but if at the end you have time, don't want to interrupt your stitching, but in the end, if you have time, let me know what you're working on while you're watching this. I know not everyone likes to think about Halloween before like September or so, but I like to think about Halloween pretty much, I'd say maybe like June, July. June, I think, probably. I'll be ready to put up my Halloween at the beginning of August. So I know that's early for some people, but I love Halloween and I like putting it up as soon as possible. I like things to be out for usually 3 to 4 months. And once classes start in the fall, decorating, it takes time, and I don't have a lot of time and energy to do it. So, and I have a lot of Halloween, so it's better for me to do it sooner than later. Although classes are starting a week later this year, which is nice. So we don't start until the last week of August. So I do have time to put up the decorations, probably after my mom goes home from helping with the mystery boxes. That's probably when I'll take down my patriotic and sewing displays and put up some Halloween decor. I'm looking forward to the Halloween. Looking forward to my mom visiting. And in addition to packing mystery boxes, I think we will go antique shopping, which we like to do. There are a few things I'm kind of specifically looking for when I go antique shopping, but it's also just kind of what, is there anything that kind of inspires me that I think would be cool? I have to say, I don't know if it's just because I have a lot of antiques now, but I have not found as much stuff at antique shops here in Pennsylvania or in Michigan the last year or so, I would say maybe. So I haven't come home with a lot of antiques. But I still like to go look, and especially if it's hot, it's a great way to spend a day walking around in the air conditioning, still get out. So I think we'll go antique shopping. And speaking of historic railroads, there is one. It's a little over an hour away from here. We were going to do it in the fall when she came, but we ran out of time. So I'm hoping we can fit that in while she's visiting. And I'm not sure what else she'll want to do. Maybe go to the Arboretum. The Arboretum is part of the university. It's really, really beautiful, and they keep expanding it. So I've been enjoying painting there a lot this summer. There's lots of flowers and trees. The only thing about the Arboretum is that it's a relatively newer Arboretum. Like, I've lived in Pennsylvania longer than the Arboretum has been there. And so there are some shady areas, but it's not like what you might imagine, like full of giant trees that are shading. It's not there yet. But it's always fun to go see what's blooming there. They have some ponds with fish, which are really fun to visit. And the roses, I think, are pretty much done at this point, but the roses have been really beautiful this year. So it'd be fun to go walk around if she's up for that. There's also a new museum at the Arboretum now. So the university had a museum on campus, and they've been building this new one, which I can't say I love the look of, but that's okay. Inside is good. I don't really like the kind of style of the building, but at least the color's fine. Anyway, so there's a new museum there. I don't know if she'd be interested in going to that, but that could be something we would do. And yeah, I don't know what else. Maybe go mini golfing. We do like to go mini golfing. I'm usually not amazing at mini golf, but I can do okay. Once in a while I win. Definitely better mini golfer than a real golfer. I don't think I could do that, but I enjoy mini golf. And there's a mini golf course over near the mountains where people go skiing. We've gone there before, and it's pretty fun. And the last time I was there, I ran into one of my Spanish students from not this spring, but last spring. And I said, "Are you keeping up with your Spanish?" He's like, "Yes, actually I am." And he started speaking to me in Spanish. I'm like, wow, I don't often meet. I mean, he wasn't continuing formally. He wasn't taking classes, but he was keeping up with it informally, like talking with friends and working on it. And I was so impressed and happy. And he was like actually happy to see me, which they aren't all happy to see me after class sometimes, depending on how class went for them, how their grade was. They aren't always that excited, but he was glad to see me, and I was glad to see him. So that was really cool. So I am stitching two-handed on this project, and I do use a sewing method sometimes if I'm not using a hoop or a frame of any kind, but my sewing method doesn't look as good with 2 strands, so I tend to just do like 40 count mainly if I'm going to do the sewing method, and then I tend to use a hoop or frame for 32 count, and those are usually my 2 favorite counts. And then sometimes I do some over 1 stitching on like 28 or 32 count Lugana, in which case I would use a frame also for that. I had some requests to do a tutorial about how to stitch on linen, so I will be working on that soon. And hopefully that will be helpful if you have had questions about how to stitch on linen. You know, I'll just kind of explain the steps. I think I'll say this in the video, but I think the biggest thing is being willing to be uncomfortable with doing something new that's different. So I think you're used to stitching on whatever you use and you're comfortable with that and it's pretty relaxing and easy. But if you're going to change fabrics from like Aida, I don't think changing from Lugana to linen, I don't think that's a big deal, but I guess it depends on the person. I know that some people find it difficult to see on linen because of the different sizes that some of the threads are, like the diameter can be slightly thicker or thinner, and that can throw people. But I think it's more of a stretch to go from Aida to linen than Lugana to linen, since it's pretty similar. But I think, you know, when you're comfortable doing something one way and then you have to start really paying attention, people don't like that. The brain doesn't like that, right? The brain does not want you to have to work harder. And so I think the biggest obstacle in a way is yourself when you're wanting to try to change fabrics, in the sense that I realize some people can't see, and if you can't see linen, then you shouldn't stitch on it, right? I mean, this is only for people who can see or are willing to use reading glasses or magnification, and willing and able to do that. If you aren't able to use those things, or even with them you can't see, then you shouldn't try to stitch on linen. But, you know, as long as you can see the fabric clearly, it's just being willing to look at it more closely to see, like, you know, do I go in this spot or the next one? And as you stitch more on linen, it becomes more obvious where you're supposed to put your needle, as long as you start over the correct thread. So that's what I'll talk about in the demo/tutorial video. So if you have any, I guess, linen stitching questions that you'd like me to answer in the video, you can put them in the comments of this video, so that I, you know, if there's something I might not think to mention that you would like to know, let me know in the comments to this video, and then I can think about adding that to the tutorial video. I'll probably be filming it pretty soon, but I still welcome your questions. So I think if you're willing to be uncomfortable a little bit for a while until you get used to the linen, then I think you'll be fine. So at this point, I can't really see 32 count linen that well without reading glasses. These are pretty low strength reading glasses, but I can kind of see. It's just a little bit blurrier than I'd like, to make sure that I'm going in the right spot. So it's like, how long do I want to spend possibly fixing things? So at this point, I'm pretty much, I think, stuck with wearing the readers for all my stitching. But these are like whatever the lowest level reader is. I'm not sure, 1.25 or something. I don't remember. Anyway, I've had them for a while. I haven't really had to use them consistently, but I think I'm in the use them consistently category now. But I think I did well to make it until my almost mid-40s before needing to consistently use them for stitching. So I just finished a project I started several years ago, and it was on 56 count linen, And I have to say that even with the readers was a bit of a struggle. And I was like, I guess one of the reasons this took so long to finish is because I picked a really high count fabric. And it was interesting as an experiment to see if I would like it, but I don't think I liked it enough to do it more. So that'll probably be my only 56 count project that I ever will do. I think I'm done after that. So I just finished it. It was a design by Threadwork Primitives, and it's Beggar's Fourth. So that was a fabric I had dyed myself, and stitched on it. And so yeah, I just finally finished it. I think I'm too not motivated to worry about fully finishing it, since, you know, I'm going to be taking patriotic stuff down pretty quickly here. So I don't know that I'll fully finish it until next year, unless some kind of finishing bug strikes me. But it was a fun stitch. But yeah, I'm good on the 56 count. I think I could still do 46 count, or yeah, I think I would probably, well, I don't know. I say that, but I haven't done it in a while. But I definitely had stitched more on 46 count than on 56. That was my one and only that I've done. 46 didn't feel that much different than 40 to me. 56 definitely does. And I think I would just rather stitch like over 1 on a 32 count or something than stitch over 2 on a 56 count. Some of that is that, you know, cotton floss is a bit thick for a 56 count, and so you either need to cut your strands shorter because they start to fray, or, you know, maybe use like a silk that's a little bit finer or something. Anyway, that's kind of neither here nor there. It's just a comment on using the 56 count. So the mystery stitch along is going really well. I've been so enjoying seeing people's progress, and lots of fun posts on Instagram, seeing the jack-o'-lanterns and the cat. And so the second clue just launched yesterday, and so I'm already seeing some progress from people on clue 2, so that's been really fun. And seeing some people kind of changing up the fabrics, which I always like to see what people are doing, so it's been really neat. I love doing the stitch-alongs. I love seeing the ways people personalize things, the way they finish things, and just the community aspect of doing stitch-alongs, so that's why I love hosting them. And so yeah, I'm really excited about the possibility of doing the Christmas stitch-along this year. I think that will be a lot of fun. So as I was saying before, I don't see that I'll have time to do fall releases like I was thinking of doing if I'm going to do the Christmas mystery, because there just won't be enough time to do both. So in that case, I will redistribute those releases that I was going to do to other times. I had some Halloween designs and a Christmas design, so the Christmas design will just come out closer to Christmas, and then the Halloween can come out probably at market next year, I think. So I had a plan for what I was going to release at market, and I'll just tweak it a little bit and redistribute some things, and that'll be fine. So I always keep a schedule of like what I'm releasing in what month, but I like to be flexible so that if I want to move something around, I can. And so I think I'll have 2 Christmas releases this year, separate from the mystery, like at Christmas time, around Christmas time. And then I'm kind of debating about how many releases to have at market, but I think it's going to be heavy on Halloween and Christmas, which is kind of funny. And I just worked on, this might sound crazy to you, but if you're a designer, maybe not. I just worked on the design for next year's mystery box. So I had one thing designed already, and I just I mean, I might still tweak it a little bit, but it's more or less there. So I got the other design mostly finished. So that's exciting. I like and need to work pretty far ahead. Since I've taken this summer pretty easy, I'm actually like not as far ahead as I would normally be, which is fine. That's part of the point of being ahead, is so that if you need to take breaks, you can, right? But so I still need to do some more designing for next year, a couple things. And then I have some other stuff already designed for next year. Like I already have some stuff designed for next fall. Although, if I do another Christmas mystery next year, I'm not sure if I can do a fall release. So yeah, I don't know. This is just kind of an experiment to see, like, do people enjoy having a Christmas mystery stitch along? If, you know, there's enough interest, and as long as it continues to be doable within my schedule, then, you know, maybe I have 2 stitch alongs each year, and maybe I don't do a fall release in the fall, but I do fall/Halloween releases at other times of the year. You know, I'll just figure it out as I go. Do not worry, I will not stop designing Halloween. I love it dearly. Okay, well, friends, I think I am about ready to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed stitching with me. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you worked on, and I will be back soon with like a regular floss tube video, and also within the next month or so I'll try to get that linen tutorial up. So leave me your comments if you have questions about stitching on linen. And I hope that you're well, keep stitching, and I will see you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.